I'm so glad you found your way here. Your brain is healing emotional wounds right now, quietly erasing the sharp edges of today's pain while you simply exist. Tonight, you'll discover why morning brings clarity after nighttime tears, and understand why sleep is the most powerful therapy you'll never remember receiving. Welcome to Psychology for Sleep. Now, settle in. You're in your safe space, while your mind quietly sorts through today's emotional fragments, deciding what to keep raw and what to soften. Allow yourself this moment of peace. We'll journey through 100 psychology facts about healing during sleep, from the tears that feel lighter by morning, to arguments that shrink overnight, to the strange gift of waking up knowing exactly what to do next. This thoughtful journey through consciousness builds bridges between searching minds. Your gentle support, a like, subscribe, or a quiet share, creates a pathway for more healing seekers to discover and brings us closer to protect this sanctuary for every tired mind who finds their way here. One peaceful night, one sleepy soul at a time. Your healing journey inspires ours. Let yourself settle completely here. Feel your jaw unclench, your breath deepen naturally. You can let these thoughts drift past without holding them. Sense that soothing heaviness enveloping you, like your consciousness slowly dimming its brightness. Thoughts dissolving into the peaceful fog of approaching sleep, safe and undisturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're floating where memories rest safely in gentle darkness. Let your mind merge with infinite peace. And now we begin. You've probably noticed this strange phenomenon. You go to bed with your heart heavy, emotions raw and overwhelming. Yet somehow, when morning light filters through your window, that same pain feels softer. Not gone, but manageable. Different. You might have assumed this was simply the passage of time. That old saying about time healing all wounds. But here's what's actually happening. Your brain spent the entire night actively working on that emotional pain, quite literally reshaping the neural pathways associated with those feelings. Sleep isn't passive rest when it comes to emotions. It's an active therapy session conducted by your own mind, editing memories, cooling down your alarm systems, and carefully filing away experiences in ways that hurt less. What you're experiencing each morning isn't just the passage of hours. It's the completion of an overnight healing process that happens whether you're aware of it or not. In recent research, scientists at the University of California, Berkeley, used advanced brain imaging to watch this healing process in real time. They studied people before and after sleep, showing them emotional images, some neutral, some distressing. Here's what they found. After a full night's sleep, the amygdala, which is your brain's emotional alarm system, showed significantly reduced reactivity to the same images that had triggered strong responses the night before. The images hadn't changed. The memories were intact, but something fundamental had shifted in how the brain responded to them. The emotional charge had been turned down, like someone had adjusted the volume on a stereo. This wasn't about forgetting or repressing. The participants could still remember everything clearly. They just didn't feel overwhelmed by it anymore. Sleep had done something specific and measurable to their emotional processing. Think about the last time you had a difficult conversation or argument with someone you care about. Maybe it was your partner, a family member, or a close friend. In the moment, everything feels urgent and enormous. Your heart races. Your thoughts spiral. Every word they said plays on repeat in your mind, each one stinging a little more with each mental replay. You might lie in bed replaying the entire exchange, wishing you'd said something different, feeling anger or hurt or confusion swirling together. But then something curious happens after you finally fall asleep and wake up the next morning. The same argument that felt relationship ending at 11 p.m. somehow feels smaller at 7 a.m. You can suddenly see their perspective. You remember parts of the conversation you'd completely blocked out in your emotional state. What changed overnight? Your brain has different modes of operation, and sleep activates a very specific mode for emotional processing. During your waking hours, your prefrontal cortex, the rational, thinking part of your brain, is in constant conversation with your limbic system, where emotions live. But this conversation is often overwhelmed by the immediate demands of your environment. You need to respond, react, function, survive the day. There's no time for deep processing. Sleep changes this dynamic completely. During certain sleep stages, particularly REM sleep, your prefrontal cortex remains active while your body is paralyzed. This creates a unique neurological state. Your rational brain can examine emotional memories without the interference of stress hormones or the pressure to respond. It's like having a therapy session with yourself, conducted in a neurochemical environment specifically designed for healing. Recent studies have identified something fascinating. During REM sleep, your brain replays emotional experiences from the day, but with one crucial difference. The stress hormone, norepinephrine, which normally floods your system during emotional events, is almost completely shut off during REM sleep. This creates what researchers call a safe mode for emotional memory processing. Your brain can revisit painful or stressful experiences. The argument, the embarrassing moment, the sad news, without re-triggering the full stress response. It's like watching a recording of a scary movie versus being in the scary situation. You can observe, analyze, and process the emotional content without being overwhelmed by it. This norepinephrine suppression during REM sleep appears to be evolution's way of allowing us to learn from emotional experiences without being re-traumatized by the memories. Here's something you might relate to. Have you ever woken up after a nightmare feeling emotionally drained, even though nothing bad actually happened to you during the night? That's because your brain was doing deep emotional work. Dreams, especially vivid or unsettling ones, aren't random nonsense. According to recent research from Harvard Medical School, dreams serve as a kind of overnight therapy where your mind creates scenarios that allow you to practice emotional responses in a safe environment. That nightmare about showing up to work naked, your brain might be processing feelings of vulnerability or inadequacy. The dream where you're trying to run but can't move, often linked to processing feelings of powerlessness in waking life. These aren't just symbols. They're active emotional rehearsals happening in the safety of sleep. There's a reason why people often say sleep on it when you're facing a difficult decision or emotional situation. This isn't just folk wisdom. It's neuroscience. When you're in the middle of an emotional situation during the day, your brain is flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals are useful for immediate survival. They help you respond quickly to threats. But they're terrible for making nuanced decisions or seeing situations clearly. They literally narrow your perception, making you focus on threat and survival rather than context and complexity. Sleep clears out these stress chemicals. By morning, your cortisol levels have been reset, Your hippocampus has had time to properly consolidate memories, and your prefrontal cortex can come back online fully. The situation hasn't changed, but your brain's ability to assess it has been completely restored. Recent neuroscience research has revealed something fascinating about emotional memory consolidation during sleep. Studies show that during slow-wave sleep, the deepest stage of non-REM sleep, your brain actually strengthens some emotional memories while weakening others. But here's the key. It doesn't do this randomly. Your brain seems to strengthen memories that have learning value, experiences that might help you avoid danger or make better decisions in the future, while systematically weakening the emotional intensity of memories that don't serve you anymore. It's like your brain has a built-in editor that works the night shift, deciding which emotional experiences deserve to stay vivid and which ones need to be faded down. This happens automatically, without your conscious involvement, every single night. You know that phenomenon where something embarrassing happens. Maybe you said something awkward in a meeting or tripped in public, and it feels absolutely mortifying in the moment. You replay it in your mind over and over, cringing each time. But then, after sleeping, when you think about it the next day, it's less awful. You might even find it slightly funny. This isn't just perspective or rationalization. Recent fMRI studies show that the connection between the memory of the event and the emotional charge associated with it literally weakens during sleep. The memory remains. You can still recall what happened, but the neural pathway that links that memory to feelings of shame or embarrassment has been pruned. Your brain has decided that this particular embarrassment doesn't need to haunt you forever. So yes, emotional healing really does happen faster when you sleep, and we're beginning to understand exactly how. Your brain uses sleep as dedicated processing time. Hours when you're not being bombarded by new information. When stress hormones are suppressed. When different brain regions can communicate without the interference of waking demands. It's not magic or metaphor. It's a specific neurological process that has been documented and measured. The anger that feels slightly less sharp by morning. The grief that becomes more bearable after a full night's rest. The anxiety that loosens its grip after you've slept. These aren't illusions or coincidences. They're the result of your brain's overnight therapy session, a biological process that has evolved over millions of years to help us survive emotional experiences without being destroyed by them. Let's talk about heartbreak, because it's one of the most intense emotional experiences most people face, and it demonstrates sleep's healing power particularly clearly. When a relationship ends, the pain can feel unbearable. Your brain responds to social rejection much like it responds to physical pain. Brain scans show that the same regions light up. In those first days or weeks, you might find yourself crying unpredictably, unable to concentrate, replaying memories constantly. But you've probably also noticed that mornings can bring brief moments of relief. Those few seconds after waking before you remember what happened. Recent studies explain why. Each night of sleep is gradually weakening the neural connections between the memory of that person and the acute pain response. Not erasing them, but making them hurt less. Here's something sleep researchers have found. The order in which you sleep matters for emotional healing. You go through multiple sleep cycles each night, typically 4 to 6 cycles of about 90 minutes each. Early in the night, you spend more time in deep, slow-wave sleep. Later in the night, toward morning, you spend more time in REM sleep. Each stage does different emotional work. The deep sleep early in the night appears to process and file away the basic emotional memories, getting them into storage. The REM sleep later in the night does more sophisticated work, integrating those memories into your broader life narrative, extracting meaning, and reducing their emotional charge. This is why people who are woken up repeatedly throughout the night, never completing full cycles, often report feeling emotionally fragile, even if they got enough total hours. Think about grief. Losing someone you love. In the immediate aftermath, sleep might seem impossible. Your mind races. Your body feels wrong. Everything hurts. But as days pass and you do manage to sleep, something begins to shift. The loss never stops being real, but your relationship to the pain changes. Recent research from Johns Hopkins examined this process in people who'd recently lost loved ones. They found that sleep specifically helps separate the memory of the person from the acute shock of loss. Over weeks and months of normal sleep, grieving people gradually rebuild their ability to remember their loved one with love, rather than only with devastation. The memories remain vivid, sometimes even more vivid, but they become bearable. Sleep facilitates this transformation one night at a time. Your brain has what scientists call a salience network, a system that determines what's important and what deserves your emotional attention. During waking hours, this network can get overwhelmed, marking too many things as urgent or threatening. It's like an alarm system that's too sensitive, going off at every little thing. Sleep recalibrates this system during the night, particularly during REM sleep. Your brain essentially resets which things truly deserve strong emotional responses and which don't. That comment from your coworker that felt like a personal attack yesterday might register as merely thoughtless after a night's sleep. That social media post that sent you spiraling might seem irrelevant by morning. Your brain has adjusted its threat detection, deciding what actually matters and what can be dismissed. Here's a phenomenon many people recognize but might not understand. Sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night, maybe around 2 or 3 a.m., and if you're dealing with anxiety or stress, everything feels terrible in those dark hours. Problems seem insurmountable. The future looks bleak. But if you manage to fall back asleep and wake up at your normal time, those same problems feel more manageable. Why? Because you caught yourself in the middle of the processing. Your brain was in the middle of its emotional work. Memories were being activated. Connections were being rewired. But the work wasn't finished yet. It's like walking into a kitchen during cooking and seeing all the ingredients scattered around. It looks messy, but by morning, the meal is complete and everything makes sense again. Research from Stanford's sleep lab has revealed something particularly important about chronic stress and sleep. When people experience ongoing stress, difficult job situations, caregiving responsibilities, financial pressure, their sleep becomes increasingly crucial for emotional survival. Without adequate sleep, the same stresses feel progressively more overwhelming. With consistent sleep, even when the stresses don't change, people report feeling more capable of handling them. What's happening neurologically is that sleep provides regular maintenance for your emotional regulation systems. It's like the difference between a car that gets regular oil changes versus one that doesn't. The daily wear and tear of stress requires daily repair through sleep. Miss too many nights, and your emotional engine starts to break down. You might have noticed that children often seem to process difficult experiences more quickly than adults. A child might have a terrible day at school, feels awful, cries, seems devastated, but after a good night's sleep, they bounce back with remarkable resilience. Adults tend to carry emotional pain longer. Why? Part of it is that children naturally sleep more, and their sleep is often higher quality. They spend more time in the deep sleep stages that facilitate emotional processing. But it's also that children haven't yet learned to ruminate, to replay painful experiences consciously over and over. They let their brain's natural overnight processing work without interference. Adults, by contrast, often lie awake thinking about problems, activating those stress responses again and again, essentially undoing the healing work that sleep is trying to accomplish. There's something called overnight insight, and it's remarkably common. You go to bed stuck on a problem, maybe a creative challenge at work, a complex decision, an interpersonal conflict you can't figure out. You're not actively thinking about solutions when you're asleep, but somehow when you wake up, the answer feels obvious. Studies using brain imaging show that during sleep, your brain makes connections between seemingly unrelated pieces of information stored in different regions. It's like your mind has been reorganizing a messy room overnight, and suddenly everything is where it needs to be. The components of the solution were always there, but sleep allowed your brain to arrange them in the right pattern. This applies to emotional problems too. The perspective you needed was inside you, but required sleep to become accessible. Here's something that might surprise you. Emotional memories are actually stored differently than neutral memories. When something emotionally significant happens, good or bad, your brain tags it as important using a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. This emotional tagging makes these memories stronger and more vivid. But here's the complication. Too much emotional charge on a memory can make it intrusive, overwhelming, even traumatic. Sleep helps by maintaining the memory, but reducing the emotional tag. Think of it like adjusting the volume on a recording. The content stays the same, but the intensity changes. Research shows this process happens specifically during REM sleep, when your brain replays emotional memories in that low-stress chemical environment we talked about earlier. The memory gets preserved, but the emotional volume gets turned down. People who work night shifts or have severely disrupted sleep schedules often report emotional difficulties that go beyond just feeling tired. Relationships become harder. Small frustrations feel bigger. Mood swings become more common. This isn't weakness or poor coping skills. It's neurobiology. Without regular, consolidated sleep, the brain's emotional processing systems don't get the continuous time they need to complete their work. It's like trying to cook a meal but having someone turn off the oven every 15 minutes. The food never actually cooks properly. Similarly, emotional experiences never get fully processed. They accumulate, still raw, still reactive. The sleep-deprived brain is a brain that hasn't had time to heal from yesterday, let alone prepare for tomorrow. There's a growing field of research examining how sleep affects the processing of positive emotions, not just negative ones. It turns out that sleep doesn't just reduce pain, it can actually enhance joy, gratitude, and contentment. A beautiful experience, a moment of connection, a personal achievement. These positive memories get consolidated during sleep too. woven into your ongoing life narrative in ways that make them more accessible. People who sleep well after positive experiences report being able to recall them more vividly and with more emotional warmth than people who sleep poorly. Sleep acts like a developer fluid in photography, making the good moments become clearer and more vibrant in your memory. This suggests that sleep isn't just about reducing suffering. It's about enhancing your capacity to hold on to what makes life meaningful. One of the clearest demonstrations of sleep's emotional healing comes from trauma research. For decades, psychologists have known that people with PTSD often have disrupted sleep, particularly disrupted REM sleep. What researchers have discovered more recently is that this creates a vicious cycle. Trauma disrupts sleep, and disrupted sleep prevents the normal processing of traumatic memories. Recent clinical trials tested a specific approach, using therapy techniques during the day, combined with interventions to protect and enhance REM sleep at night. The results showed significantly better outcomes than therapy alone. When people with PTSD could achieve normal REM sleep patterns, even severe trauma symptoms began to improve. This doesn't mean sleep cures trauma, but it appears to be essential for allowing other healing processes to work. Have you ever noticed that when you're sleep deprived, you're more likely to snap at people, to take things personally, to feel overwhelmed by minor inconveniences? This happens because sleep deprivation specifically impairs the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation and impulse control. It's like the wise, patient part of your brain goes offline, leaving only the reactive, emotional parts in charge. Brain scans show that after just one night of poor sleep, there's decreased connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. Your brain's emergency alarm system becomes more sensitive, while your ability to rationally assess whether something is actually an emergency diminishes. Everything feels more threatening, more personal, more urgent than it actually is. Sleep researchers have identified what they call emotional memory triage, the brain's process of deciding which emotional experiences need to be retained in full detail and which can be simplified or faded. This happens primarily during the hours between midnight and 4 a.m. During deep sleep cycles, your brain essentially reviews the day's emotional experiences and makes decisions about their long-term importance. Did that argument with your partner reveal something important about your relationship? Or was it just stress and hunger? Does that mistake at work reflect a real problem with your skills? Or was it a normal human error? Your sleeping brain makes these assessments based on patterns, context, and your deeper values. By morning, you often wake up with intuitive clarity about what actually matters. So far, we've established something crucial. Sleep isn't just downtime between days of living. It's when your brain does essential emotional maintenance work. You go to bed carrying the weight of the day's experiences. Some good, some difficult, some confusing. And your sleeping brain actively works on all of it. It weakens connections to pain that doesn't serve you. It strengthens memories of experiences you can learn from. It recalibrates your emotional alarm systems. It files away experiences in ways that make them more bearable. It even helps you see solutions and perspectives that were invisible during waking hours. This isn't passive or accidental. It's a sophisticated biological process that has evolved because emotional healing is literally a survival requirement. And we're only beginning to understand how remarkable this overnight transformation really is. Let's pause here for a moment before continuing. Let's pause here and notice your body. As you breathe out slowly, appreciate each tiny cell inside you, trillions of organisms working in silence, heart beating, lungs breathing, brain thinking, all without your command. Notice the gentle sensations on your skin, in your muscles, along your spine. You are a complete ecosystem, diverse, self-balancing. Your body knows how to heal itself emotionally, just as it knows how to heal a cut on your skin. You don't have to teach it. You don't have to try. Simply by sleeping, you allow this ancient process to unfold. Now we continue. Let's get more specific about what's actually happening in your brain during different sleep stages. Think of your sleep as having distinct chapters, each with its own purpose for emotional healing. The first chapter begins shortly after you drift off. This is when you enter what scientists call slow-wave sleep or deep sleep. During this phase, your brain waves literally slow down into long, rolling patterns that look like ocean waves on an EEG monitor. This is when your brain starts the initial processing of emotional experiences from your day. It's like a first sorting. Your brain begins to categorize experiences, tag them with appropriate emotional intensity levels, and start moving them from temporary storage into more permanent memory systems. Nothing is being deleted yet, just organized. During this deep sleep phase, something remarkable happens with stress hormones in your body. Your cortisol levels, which likely peaked during the stressful moments of your day, drop to their lowest levels. This chemical shift is crucial for healing. Cortisol isn't bad. You need it to wake up and respond to challenges. But chronically elevated cortisol prevents emotional processing. It keeps your brain in a state of alert, unable to step back and process experiences with any perspective. When cortisol drops during deep sleep, it's like turning down the volume on an alarm that's been blaring. Your brain can finally think clearly about what happened today without the panic response interfering. This is why even a short nap in the afternoon can sometimes provide emotional relief. It gives your brain a brief break from cortisol. Around 90 minutes after you fall asleep, you enter your first REM period. REM stands for rapid eye movement, because your eyes literally dart around beneath your closed lids during this stage. This is when most vivid dreaming occurs. But REM sleep does something specific for emotional healing that no other sleep stage can do. Your brain replays emotional memories from recent days. Not random memories, but specifically ones that had emotional significance. It's like your brain is creating a highlight reel. But the purpose isn't entertainment. According to research published in leading neuroscience journals, this replay happens in the absence of norepinephrine, that stress chemical we mentioned earlier. So you're reviewing emotional events without re-experiencing the stress. Think about the last time you had a difficult conversation that you needed to have. Maybe setting a boundary with someone, or expressing disappointment, or sharing vulnerable feelings. If you slept well the night before that conversation, you probably handled it better than if you'd been sleep-deprived. That's because adequate REM sleep strengthens your emotional regulation capacity. Studies show that people who get sufficient REM sleep show better emotional control, more empathy, and more accurate reading of others' emotional states. Conversely, REM deprivation makes people more reactive, more likely to misinterpret neutral expressions as hostile, and less able to modulate their own emotional responses. Your ability to handle emotionally complex situations isn't just about maturity or practice. It literally depends on whether you slept well last night. Here's something that might change how you think about bad dreams. Nightmares feel terrible. You wake up with your heart pounding, maybe sweating, disturbed by whatever your mind conjured up. But nightmares aren't malfunctions. They're actually part of your brain's emotional processing system, working more deeply with particularly difficult material. Research from the University of Geneva has found that people who have occasional nightmares, not chronic ones, but once in a while, actually show better emotional regulation during waking hours than people who never have nightmares. The theory is that nightmares represent your brain trying to process emotions that are too intense for normal dream processing. It's uncomfortable, but it might be necessary. Your brain is working through something that needs to be worked through, even if the process isn't pleasant. Let's talk about why sleeping after an argument often leads to resolution. When you're in the middle of a heated disagreement, your brain is in full threat response mode. The other person's words are being processed as potential attacks. Your own responses are coming from defensive, survival-oriented brain regions. Nuance disappears. Empathy becomes difficult. You literally cannot see the situation from multiple perspectives because your brain has narrowed your focus to self-protection. Sleep changes all of this. During the night, particularly during REM sleep, your hippocampus and prefrontal cortex work together to integrate the experience into broader context. You remember other interactions with this person. You access your own values and priorities. By morning, you can often see both perspectives simultaneously. Not because you've calmed down, but because your brain has completed essential processing. There's a specific phenomenon that sleep researchers call sleep-dependent affective recalibration. That's a fancy way of describing something you've probably experienced. Waking up with a completely different emotional perspective on something that upset you the day before. In studies, researchers show people disturbing images before sleep and then again after sleep. The images don't change, obviously, but people consistently rate them as less disturbing after sleep. Brain scans show why. The connection between the visual memory of the image and the emotional response to it has been weakened. The hippocampus still knows what the image showed, but the amygdala isn't lighting up as intensely. This same process happens with your personal experiences. The facts remain, but your emotional reaction to them shifts towards something more moderate, more manageable. One of the most important discoveries in recent years involves the glymphatic system, a waste clearance system in your brain that operates primarily during sleep. While you're awake, your brain cells are tightly packed together. During sleep, they actually shrink slightly, creating spaces between them. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through these spaces, washing away metabolic waste products, including ones associated with stress and emotional processing. Among these waste products are inflammatory molecules that build up during emotional stress. When you don't sleep enough, these inflammatory markers accumulate, and chronic inflammation is increasingly linked to depression, anxiety, and difficulty regulating emotions. Sleep literally flushes out the chemical residue of emotional stress. It's physical cleansing, not just psychological processing. You know how sometimes you wake up and just know what you need to do about a situation. Even though you went to bed confused, researchers call this unconscious problem solving. And it happens specifically during REM sleep. Your brain can make connections between distant concepts, combine information in new ways, and arrive at insights that seemed impossible during conscious thought. Research from MIT has tracked people's brain activity while they solved emotional dilemmas during the day. And then during sleep that night, the researchers found that during REM sleep, brain regions that had never communicated during waking problem-solving suddenly started exchanging information. It's like your brain has access to its complete database during sleep in ways it doesn't during waking hours. Different emotions seem to require different amounts of sleep to process fully. Anger, for instance, often resolves relatively quickly. One good night's sleep can significantly reduce angry feelings about an incident. Sadness and grief, however, require more time. They need multiple sleep cycles over multiple nights, sometimes weeks or months, to fully process. Researchers believe this is because different emotions involve different neural networks and different types of memory integration. Anger is often about immediate threats and requires quick processing so you can respond. Grief involves the reorganization of your entire internal model of the world. Someone who was central to your life is gone, and your brain needs to rebuild countless associations, memories, and expectations. That's not a one-night job. That's ongoing reconstruction that happens incrementally, night after night. Here's a practical insight. The timing of emotionally difficult experiences during your day can affect how well you process them overnight. Experiences that happen in the evening, closer to bedtime, seem to be processed differently than morning experiences. Some research suggests that going to bed shortly after a traumatic or highly emotional event might not allow enough buffer time for initial emotional intensity to decrease. It's like trying to immediately file away a document that's still wet with ink. It might smear everything around it. This is why trauma therapists sometimes recommend that people avoid going straight to bed after processing particularly difficult memories in therapy. Allowing a few hours of calm, neutral activity before sleep might help your brain organize and process the material more effectively during the night. There's an interesting connection between how well you sleep and how precisely you can identify your emotions. People who sleep well tend to navigate their emotional landscape with more subtlety. They can tell the difference between feeling anxious versus worried, or sad versus disappointed. Poor sleep blurs these distinctions. Everything becomes generic, bad, or stressed, without nuance. Sleep helps maintain the mental clarity that allows for emotional precision, which means you can respond to situations more effectively. You can't address anxiety about the future the same way you address regret about the past. When you're well rested, you have access to a fuller emotional palette, which gives you the ability to match your response to what you're actually feeling. Let's talk about emotional contagion and sleep. You've probably noticed that being around stressed or angry people can affect your own mood, sometimes without you realizing it. This is emotional contagion, the tendency to unconsciously adopt others' emotional states. Recent research shows that sleep quality affects your susceptibility to emotional contagion. Well-rested people can maintain their emotional equilibrium even in emotionally charged environments. Sleep-deprived people are more likely to catch negative emotions from others and have difficulty shaking them off. This happens because the prefrontal cortex, which helps you distinguish between your emotions and others' emotions, functions poorly when you're tired. Sleep essentially reinforces your emotional boundaries, helping you remain yourself even when surrounded by others' strong feelings. One of the most practical applications of understanding sleep and emotional healing involves preparation for difficult situations. If you know you have a challenging conversation coming up or a stressful event you need to navigate, one of the best things you can do is prioritize sleep beforehand. Athletes have known for years that sleep improves physical performance. What's becoming clear is that sleep improves emotional performance just as significantly. Your capacity for empathy, your ability to regulate your own reactions, your skill at reading social cues, all of these improve with adequate sleep. Think of sleep as training for emotional challenges. Each night of good sleep is like a practice session for your emotional regulation systems. You're literally strengthening neural pathways that help you handle difficult situations with more grace. We've now explored the mechanics, how your brain uses different sleep stages to process emotions, how stress hormones decrease while restorative processes increase, how memory consolidation works, how neural connections get rewired. But here's what it all means practically. Every night, without your conscious effort, your brain is working to make yesterday's pain more bearable and today's challenges more manageable. The conversation that devastated you is being integrated into a broader understanding of your relationships. The failure that felt defining is being placed in the context of your overall growth. The loss you're grieving is being woven into your life story in a way that honors both the love and the letting go. This is why sleep isn't optional for emotional health. It's where healing actually happens. You're still here with me. Thoughts still flickering like candle light. Just notice. Don't judge. Just notice where your mind is. We're exploring consciousness itself. The very thing doing the exploring right now. Strange, beautiful, and perfectly calm. If you're finding peace here, if these quiet facts are helping your mind settle, perhaps share this space with someone else who's searching for rest tonight. A gentle like or subscribe helps another tired soul find this sanctuary. One quiet tap, one peaceful night at a time. Let's drift onward together. There's a reason why therapy often makes you feel worse before you feel better. When you process difficult experiences or emotions, you're essentially bringing them back up to be examined, which temporarily increases their emotional intensity. Your brain needs time to refile these activated memories in healthier ways. Sleep is when this refiling happens. Therapists have known intuitively for decades to schedule emotionally intense sessions earlier in the week rather than right before weekends, giving clients several nights of sleep to process the material. Recent neuroscience research confirms this intuition. Emotional material that's been consciously examined during therapy gets consolidated and reorganized during subsequent sleep. The combination of conscious processing during waking hours and unconscious integration during sleep creates lasting change. Research from Columbia University has found that people make more emotionally intelligent decisions after sleeping, but not just because they're more rested. Sleep actually changes how you weigh different factors in decisions. When you're considering options during the day, especially under pressure, you tend to overweight immediate concerns and underweight long-term consequences. You focus on avoiding pain or seeking pleasure right now. After sleep, people show a more balanced consideration of short-term and long-term factors. They're better at imagining future scenarios and how decisions might play out over time. It's as if sleep gives you access to a wiser version of yourself, one that can see beyond the urgency of the present moment. Evolution designed us with a specific vulnerability. We're emotionally reactive during the day because we need to be. Our ancestors faced real threats that required immediate emotional responses. Fear triggers running. Anger triggers fighting. Disgust triggers avoidance. These quick emotional reactions kept us alive. But this survival system creates a problem in modern life, where most threats aren't actually life-threatening. Your boss's criticism isn't a predator. Social rejection isn't exile from the tribe. Yet your brain treats them similarly, flooding you with stress hormones and emergency emotions. Sleep evolved as the counterbalance, the time when your brain can re-examine these reactions without the pressure of immediate response. It's when you can tell the difference between actual danger and perceived threat. There's a phenomenon called dream incorporation, where elements from your waking life appear in your dreams, often in strange, metaphorical ways. You might dream about being lost in a maze when you're actually feeling lost in your career. You might dream about missing a train when you're anxious about missing opportunities. These aren't random symbols your brain is inventing. They're how your emotional processing system communicates with your conscious mind. The feelings you're working through get translated into images and narratives that your sleeping brain can manipulate and examine from different angles. That strange dream where you could fly might represent working through feelings of restriction. That dream where you couldn't speak might be processing feelings of not being heard. Your dreams are showing you your own emotional processing work. Here's something that might resonate if you've ever dealt with anxiety. Anxious thoughts often spiral at night when you're trying to fall asleep. Worries multiply. Worst-case scenarios feel inevitable. Everything seems hopeless. But if you manage to fall asleep despite the anxiety, morning often brings a different perspective. What felt catastrophic at midnight feels manageable at dawn. Recent research explains this pattern. Anxiety activates your amygdala, which then prevents the prefrontal cortex from functioning properly. You're stuck in the emotional brain without access to the rational brain. Sleep rebalances this system. It's not that sleep makes problems disappear. It restores your ability to think about them effectively. The problems are the same, but your brain's capacity to address them has been restored. Let's talk about why sleeping on it works specifically for relationship conflicts. When you're in conflict with someone you care about, your brain faces a complex challenge. Part of you sees them as threatening. They've hurt you. They're disagreeing with you. While another part of you sees them as bonded to you. You love them. You trust them. You need them. This creates cognitive dissonance, contradictory feelings existing simultaneously. During waking hours, this dissonance is painful and confusing. During sleep, particularly during REM sleep, your brain can hold both truths at once and integrate them. You can be hurt by someone and still love them. They can be wrong about something and still be fundamentally good. Sleep allows these complex emotional realities to coexist and find balance. There's interesting research on how sleep affects your emotional memory bias. When you're awake and remembering past experiences, you tend to recall events that match your current emotional state. If you're feeling sad, you remember other sad times. If you're angry, you recall other instances of being wronged. This is called mood-congruent memory, and it can create vicious cycles. Your current sadness makes you remember sad things, which makes you sadder. Sleep disrupts this cycle. During sleep, your brain accesses memories based on different organizational principles, not just emotional matching. This is partly why waking up can break you out of negative emotional spirals. Sleep has reorganized your memory access patterns, making positive or neutral memories more accessible again. Musicians and athletes have long known about practice during sleep, the phenomenon where skills improve even without conscious practice, simply through sleep consolidation. The same thing happens with emotional skills. If you're working on being less reactive, more patient, more emotionally regulated, sleep helps consolidate these efforts. Each time you successfully manage a difficult emotion during the day, you pause before responding in anger. You choose compassion when you feel annoyed. You're creating a new neural pattern, but that pattern needs to be strengthened and integrated, which happens during sleep. This is why personal growth often feels like 2 steps forward. 1 step back, you make progress. Sleep consolidates it. You have a setback. Sleep helps you integrate the lesson from that setback. It's iterative healing. Here's something particularly relevant to modern life. Screen time before bed doesn't just interfere with sleep onset. It actively disrupts emotional processing. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, which delays sleep. But more significantly, the content you consume affects what your brain processes overnight. Scrolling through social media, watching intense shows, reading stressful news. All of this activates emotional responses right before the time when your brain needs to be consolidating and calming the day's emotional experiences. It's like handing your brain a pile of new, emotionally charged material just as it's trying to organize the existing pile. Many people find that their emotional regulation improves significantly simply by establishing a screen-free hour before bed, giving their brain time to settle before beginning its overnight processing work. We're halfway through our journey now, and perhaps you're beginning to see sleep differently. It's not downtime or wasted hours. It's not something you have to do so you can function tomorrow. Sleep is active, purposeful, sophisticated healing work. Every night, your brain conducts what amounts to a therapy session with itself, reviewing experiences, adjusting emotional responses, integrating new information into your life story, preparing you to face tomorrow with restored emotional capacity. The morning clarity you sometimes experience, that sense of knowing what to do even though you didn't consciously figure it out, that's not magic or luck. That's your brain completing its overnight emotional processing, and you're waking up to find the work already done. Take a moment to feel where you are right now in time. This breath you're taking, this second, is unique. No one else experiences this exact moment the way you do. The universe is vast, continuing to expand in all directions. Yet here you are, present in your small, safe space. Time moves forward. But in this moment, you can simply be. Let each breath guide you to realize. Time is yours, a separate stream that only you are living. While thoughts arise and fall away like waves, you remain, the ocean beneath. There's no need to chase yesterday or worry about tomorrow. Right now, in this present moment, you are exactly where you need to be, and we continue drifting into the second half of our journey together. Let's get more personal now and talk about your specific experiences. Think about the last time you were genuinely angry with someone. Not annoyed, but truly angry. Maybe they betrayed your trust or treated you unfairly. In that initial moment, the anger probably felt completely justified and permanent. But if you've had enough nights of sleep since then, the anger has likely shifted. You might still disagree with what they did. You might still have boundaries because of it. but the burning intensity has probably faded. This isn't you getting over it or letting them off the hook. This is your brain completing multiple cycles of processing that angry experience, extracting what you need to learn from it, and releasing the emergency emotional response that's no longer serving you. There's something beautifully efficient about how your brain decides which emotional experiences need the most processing time. Experiences that challenge your core beliefs or identity get more processing cycles. Simple frustrations get resolved quickly. This is why a casual insult from a stranger might sting for an afternoon but not linger, while criticism from someone whose opinion you value might take multiple nights to process fully. Your brain is essentially saying, "This one matters. This one touches something central to who you are." So we need to spend more time integrating it. The sleep processing isn't just mechanical. It's calibrated to your personal psychology, your values, your relationships. Your brain knows what matters most to you and allocates processing resources accordingly. Have you ever noticed that you can sometimes predict your mood the next day based on how you slept? Not just feeling tired from poor sleep, but actual emotional quality. Whether you'll feel patient or irritable, hopeful or pessimistic, resilient or fragile. Recent studies confirm this isn't just about energy levels. Your sleep quality the night before directly predicts your emotional regulation capacity the next day. Even more interesting, this effect is cumulative. One bad night might make you slightly more emotionally reactive, but several nights of poor sleep compound, and suddenly you're in a completely different emotional state. More prone to anxiety, depression, anger, even though nothing in your external circumstances has changed. Let's talk about how sleep processes embarrassment, because it's something almost everyone can relate to. You do something awkward, say something weird, trip in public, realize you've been walking around with food in your teeth. The immediate embarrassment is intense. You replay it in your mind, cringing repeatedly. But here's what your brain does during sleep. It starts disconnecting that memory from the physical sensation of embarrassment. The memory remains accessible, but the body's stress response to that memory weakens. Eventually, you can recall the incident without that visceral cringe response. Some people even reach a point where they can laugh about it. That transformation, from unbearable to bearable to even amusing, happens through repeated sleep cycles that gradually downregulate the emotional charge. Chronic insomnia and emotional disorders have a bidirectional relationship. Each makes the other worse. Anxiety makes it hard to sleep, and poor sleep worsens anxiety. Depression disrupts sleep architecture, and disrupted sleep deepens depression. But here's what's encouraging. Improving sleep can break this cycle. Recent research shows that treating insomnia directly, even without specifically addressing depression or anxiety, leads to improvements in both conditions. Why? Because when you restore normal sleep architecture, you restore your brain's ability to process emotions. You're giving your emotional regulation systems the time and the right neurochemical environment they need to function. The underlying issues might still need direct attention, but sleep restoration creates the foundation for all other healing efforts. Think about the concept of closure after a difficult experience or relationship ending. People often talk about needing closure, some final conversation or understanding that will let them move on. But often, that external closure never comes. The other person doesn't apologize. The situation doesn't resolve neatly. Questions remain unanswered. Yet, somehow, with enough time and enough sleep, people do move forward. What's actually happening is internal closure. Your brain is creating its own resolution during sleep. It's finding ways to integrate the incomplete experience into your life narrative, making peace with uncertainty, building bridges over gaps in understanding. The closure you were seeking externally, your brain constructs internally, night after night. There's fascinating research on how sleep affects emotional contagion in relationships. If one partner has chronically poor sleep, both partners often report decreased relationship satisfaction, not just the sleep-deprived person. The mechanism seems to be that the sleep-deprived partner becomes more emotionally reactive and less capable of empathy, which creates tension that affects both people. But it goes further. Stress from relationship conflict can then disrupt the other partner's sleep, creating a downward spiral. The positive flip side is that when both partners prioritize good sleep, both report better emotional connection, more patience with each other, and easier conflict resolution. Sleep quality is quietly one of the most important factors in relationship health, yet it's rarely discussed as such. Let's talk about anticipatory anxiety. Worry about future events that haven't happened yet. Maybe you have a difficult conversation coming up, or a deadline you're worried about, or a medical appointment that's causing stress. This kind of anxiety can be particularly disruptive to sleep because your brain is trying to process a threat that hasn't occurred yet. There's no actual experience to file away, just imaginings of possible futures. What sleep can do in these cases is help regulate the intensity of your worry. Each night of sleep slightly turns down the volume on your amygdala's alarm response. The future event you're worried about doesn't change, but your capacity to approach it without being overwhelmed by anxiety improves. Here's something you might find validating. Emotional healing isn't linear, and sleep patterns reflect this. You might have several nights where you sleep well and feel increasingly better, then suddenly have a night of disturbing dreams or disrupted sleep, and feel like you've lost all progress. But this isn't regression. It's often a sign of deeper processing. Sometimes your brain needs to access particularly difficult material, and that creates temporary disruption. Think of it like cleaning out a wound before it can heal properly. The disruption is uncomfortable, but potentially necessary. The trend over time, weeks and months, not individual nights, is what matters. Healing spirals upward, but it spirals, not moves in a straight line. There's a concept in psychology called emotional granularity, the ability to make fine distinctions between emotional states. Someone with high emotional granularity can tell the difference between anxiety and fear, between disappointment and sadness, between frustration and anger. This matters because the more precisely you can identify an emotion, the more effectively you can respond to it. Sleep plays a crucial role in maintaining this emotional granularity. When you're well rested, you have access to subtle distinctions in feeling. When you're sleep deprived, everything blurs into generic bad or stressed. Your emotional life becomes less nuanced, less rich. Sleep helps preserve the full complexity of your emotional experience. Let's address something difficult. Traumatic memories. Traumatic memories can sometimes resist the normal processing that happens during sleep. The memory may stay more emotionally charged than typical difficult experiences. This happens because the trauma overwhelmed normal processing mechanisms. However, Research is showing that specific therapeutic interventions during waking hours, like EMDR therapy or trauma-focused CBT, can help prepare these memories for processing. And then sleep can begin to do its healing work. The trauma memory doesn't disappear, but it starts behaving more like a typical memory. Accessible but not overwhelming. Remembered but not constantly relived. Sleep can't resolve trauma alone, but it's essential for trauma healing to occur alongside professional support. You know that feeling when you wake up and can't quite remember if something was a dream or really happened? This confusion reveals something important about memory consolidation during sleep. Your brain is actively working with memories during sleep, strengthening some, weakening others, making connections between them. Occasionally, this process creates false memories or blurs the line between imagination and reality. But mostly, it's doing essential work of integrating experiences. The slight confusion upon waking is actually evidence of active processing. Your brain has been deep in the memory archives all night, pulling files, making connections, reorganizing information. That brief disorientation is like walking into a room where furniture has been rearranged. Everything is there, just in new positions. There's an important relationship between physical sleep position and emotional processing that researchers are only beginning to understand. Some people find they have more emotionally intense dreams when sleeping on their backs versus their sides. Others find certain positions help them sleep more deeply through difficult processing. While the research is still preliminary, it appears that sleep position might affect blood flow to different brain regions and influence which sleep stages you spend more time in. This doesn't mean there's one correct sleep position for emotional healing, but it might explain why you instinctively shift positions during emotionally difficult sleep periods. Your body might be trying to optimize the conditions for whatever processing your brain needs to do. Let's talk about the morning after crying yourself to sleep. Many people report feeling surprisingly better after nights where they cried before falling asleep. Despite the emotional intensity, there's actual science behind this. Crying releases stress hormones and toxins through tears. It's literally a physical release. But beyond that, going to sleep in an emotionally vulnerable state seems to allow deeper processing. It's as if crying opens access to emotions that are usually defended or hidden, and sleep can then work with that deeper emotional material. The combination of emotional release through crying followed by sleep's processing work can create significant shifts in how you feel about whatever prompted the tears. It's not pleasant in the moment, but it can be powerfully healing. By this point in our journey, you might be wondering, if sleep does all this emotional processing automatically, why do some people struggle emotionally despite sleeping? The answer is complex. Sleep quality matters as much as quantity. Sleep disrupted by sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, or environmental disturbances doesn't allow proper completion of sleep cycles. Also, severe emotional disorders can disrupt the very sleep architecture needed for healing, creating that vicious cycle. Additionally, some people need professional support to help their brain organize emotional material in ways that sleep can then consolidate. Sleep is necessary for emotional healing, but it's not always sufficient alone. It works best as part of broader emotional wellness efforts. Here's something practical. The emotional environment you create before sleep matters. Going to bed during or immediately after intense conflict means your brain starts its overnight processing from a highly activated state. This doesn't mean you should suppress emotions or avoid necessary difficult conversations. But when possible, allowing some calm time between emotional intensity and sleep helps. Even 30 minutes of quiet activity, gentle music, or calming conversation can help your nervous system begin down-regulating before sleep starts. Think of it like letting a pot stop boiling before you put a lid on it. The contents are the same, but you're giving the system a chance to settle slightly, which allows for more effective processing during the night. There's something called sleep-dependent emotional memory accuracy. Essentially, sleep helps you remember the important emotional details of experiences while letting go of irrelevant specifics. Over time, you might forget exactly what someone was wearing when they hurt you, or the specific words they used, but you remember how it made you feel and why it mattered. This isn't a failure of memory. It's sophisticated editing. Your brain is preserving what's emotionally significant and releasing what isn't. This is why, years later, you can remember the feeling of important life moments without necessarily remembering every detail. Sleep has been gradually refining those memories, keeping what matters, releasing what doesn't. Let's address something many people wonder about. Can you catch up on emotional processing if you've been sleep deprived? To some extent, yes. When you finally get good sleep after a period of poor sleep, your brain does seem to prioritize the most important backlogged emotional processing. You might have particularly vivid or intense dreams as your brain works through accumulated material. However, there's also evidence that some windows for optimal processing might close. Traumatic experiences processed immediately seem to integrate better than those processed weeks later. This doesn't mean you're doomed if you didn't sleep well right after something difficult happened. It just means that prioritizing good sleep consistently, especially during emotionally challenging periods, gives your brain the best chance to process effectively. Think about the last time you had a genuine belly laugh, the kind where you couldn't stop laughing and everything felt light afterward. Positive emotions need processing during sleep too. Just like difficult ones, sleep helps consolidate happy memories, making them more accessible and more vivid. People who sleep well after positive experiences report being able to recall them more clearly and with more emotional warmth, months or even years later. Sleep isn't just about processing pain. It's about enhancing joy, deepening gratitude, and integrating positive experiences into your sense of self. The happiness you feel today can be amplified by tonight's sleep, becoming a resource you can draw on during harder times. There's emerging research on how sleep affects your emotional narrative, the story you tell yourself about your life and who you are. Each night, as your brain processes experiences and consolidates memories, it's also subtly updating your self-concept. Am I someone who can handle stress? Am I lovable? Am I capable? These core beliefs get reinforced or challenged based partly on how your brain processes experiences during sleep. This is why prolonged sleep deprivation can actually change your self-perception. You start to see yourself as more fragile, less capable, more victimized by circumstances. Conversely, consistent good sleep supports a more resilient, balanced self-narrative. The story you tell about yourself is being written partly while you sleep. Let's talk about something subtle but powerful: emotional flexibility. This is the ability to feel what you're feeling without getting stuck in it. To move between emotional states as situations require. Sleep is crucial for maintaining this flexibility. When you're well rested, You can feel sad about something sad without it ruining your whole day. You can feel angry in the moment without carrying that anger into unrelated situations. You can feel anxious about a specific concern without it spreading into generalized anxiety. Sleep deprivation reduces this flexibility. Emotions become stickier, harder to shift out of. Each night of good sleep is like oiling the gears of your emotional system, helping you move more smoothly between feeling states. Here's something that might resonate if you're a parent or caregiver. Your sleep quality affects not just your own emotional regulation, but your ability to help others with theirs. Parents who sleep poorly are less patient, less able to remain calm during children's emotional storms, less capable of the emotional co-regulation that children need. This isn't a moral failing. It's neurological capacity. The prefrontal cortex functions that allow you to stay calm when someone else is distressed require adequate sleep to work properly. This is why one of the best things you can do for the people who depend on you emotionally is to protect your own sleep. It's not selfish. It's ensuring you have the capacity to show up for them. There's a concept called emotional debt, the accumulation of unprocessed feelings that build up when you don't get adequate sleep. Just like financial debt, emotional debt compounds. A few unprocessed emotions are manageable, but weeks or months of inadequate sleep create a backlog of emotional experiences that haven't been properly integrated. Eventually, you might find yourself having disproportionate reactions to minor events, or feeling generally overwhelmed without clear cause. What's happening is that your system is overloaded with unprocessed emotional material. The good news is that this debt can be paid down. Prioritizing quality sleep for an extended period allows your brain to gradually work through the backlog and restore emotional equilibrium. Let's address something important. Emotional healing during sleep doesn't mean emotional bypass. You can't sleep your way out of problems that require conscious action. If you're in a harmful relationship, no amount of sleep will make that okay. If you need to address addiction, change careers, or confront difficult truths, sleep alone won't resolve these issues. What sleep does is give you the emotional capacity to face these challenges. It restores your clarity, strengthens your emotional regulation, and helps you access your own wisdom. Think of sleep as creating the internal conditions necessary for growth and change, not as a replacement for the actual work of growth and change. It's foundational, but it's not everything. We've explored how sleep processes specific emotions: anger, grief, anxiety, joy. We've looked at how it affects relationships, decision-making, and self-perception. But here's the deeper truth emerging. Sleep isn't just maintaining your emotional system. It's not just cleanup or filing away experiences. Sleep is actively constructing your emotional future. Each night, as your brain processes, integrates, and reconsolidates memories, it's preparing you for tomorrow. It's extracting lessons from yesterday. It's building resilience for challenges you haven't faced yet. Your sleeping brain is constantly asking, what does this person need to know? How can I help them be ready? Sleep is your ally, your therapist, your preparation for the emotional demands of being human. You might be feeling very tired now. That's perfectly fine. Breathe slowly. Feel the cycles. Your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. A small cycle within the vast universe. Day becomes night, becomes day. Over and over. An eternal rhythm. Emotions rise and fall like tides. Nothing stays forever. Everything moves. Even pain has its season. It's time to arrive and it's time to fade. You are also part of that eternal movement, those natural cycles. You don't need to hold on to anything. Let everything unfold in its perfect order, like seasons silently changing. Unhurried, unresisting, simply existing. Trust the process. Trust the cycles. Trust that morning always comes. We're almost there now, just a little further together. Let's speak more softly now, more gently. You've traveled far through these ideas tonight, and perhaps by now, you're beginning to feel sleep approaching. That pleasant heaviness, thoughts becoming quieter. This is good. Let yourself drift as we explore these final truths about healing and sleep. Every moment you've been listening, your brain has already started its work. Processing today, preparing for tomorrow. You don't need to remember everything we've discussed. Your mind will keep what it needs. For now, just rest in knowing. Healing is happening, whether you're aware of it or not. Think about a scar on your skin. You can see where the wound was, but it doesn't hurt anymore. Emotional healing creates similar scars. Memories remain, but the pain fades. Sleep is what allows this transformation, not by erasing, but by integrating. The experience becomes part of your story without dominating it. You can touch the memory and feel only softness where once there was sharp pain. This is sleep's patient work, repeated night after night, slowly transforming what once hurt unbearably into something you can carry without breaking. Some pain needs many nights to heal. Grief, especially heartbreak, deep disappointment, loss of dreams you held dear. These aren't one-night repairs. Your brain needs multiple cycles, multiple passes through the material, gradually integrating the loss into your understanding of life. Be patient with yourself. Healing isn't linear. Some nights, you'll process deeply. Other nights, you'll simply rest. Both are necessary. Both are healing. Trust that with each sunrise, you're carrying the pain a little differently than you did before. Lighter, more integrated, more yours to carry. There's something remarkable about how sleep enhances creativity and insight. You might go to bed stuck on a practical problem. How to reorganize your workspace. What to cook with limited ingredients. How to approach a project differently, without consciously working on it during sleep. You often wake with unexpected solutions. Your brain makes novel connections during REM sleep, linking ideas that seemed unrelated while awake. This applies to emotional challenges too. Sleep helps you see situations from angles you couldn't access through conscious thinking alone. It's not magic, but it can feel like it. People sometimes say time heals all wounds, but it's not time alone. It's time plus sleep. Days passing without processing doesn't heal. It just buries. What heals is the repeated nightly work of sleep, processing experiences, integrating losses, soothing old hurts. Time provides the container, but sleep does the actual healing work. This is why you can meet people who carry decades-old pain as fresh as yesterday. They've had time, but perhaps not rest. And you can meet people who've moved through recent tragedy with unexpected grace. They've had sleep's patient healing working for them. During sleep, automatic processes take over. that your conscious mind can't control or improve upon. You might try very hard while awake to get over something or stop feeling a certain way, but forcing rarely works. Sleep operates differently. It doesn't force or resist. It simply allows natural healing rhythms to unfold. The changes happen beneath conscious awareness, which is often why they're more effective than deliberate effort. You wake transformed in ways you didn't consciously engineer, changed by processes wiser than intention. Imagine your mind as a garden. During the day, new experiences plant seeds everywhere. Some beautiful flowers, some unwanted weeds. Sleep is when the gardener comes, deciding what to water and help grow, what to pull up and compost, what needs pruning to grow healthier. You wake to a tended garden, not a wild overgrowth. This happens every night without your conscious effort. Your internal gardener knows what belongs and what doesn't, what nurtures you and what drains you. Sleep tends your inner landscape with more wisdom than conscious thought often can. There's deep kindness in how sleep works. It doesn't force you to relive trauma to heal from it. It doesn't require you to consciously face every painful moment. Instead, it works in the background, in the safety of unconsciousness, gently reorganizing your relationship to difficult experiences. You don't have to be strong or brave during sleep. You don't have to process anything deliberately. You simply have to rest and let your brain's ancient healing systems do their work. This is grace. Healing that happens through surrender, not effort. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is simply go to bed. When life feels overwhelming, when emotions are too much, when you don't know what to do next. Sleep, not as escape or avoidance, but as active healing choice. Sleep is doing something. It's letting your brain work on problems your conscious mind can't solve. It's allowing repair of systems depleted by stress. It's choosing to trust that tomorrow's perspective might be clearer than today's. Going to bed isn't giving up. It's giving yourself the gift of neurological renewal. Research shows that people who maintain good sleep during difficult life periods recover faster and more completely than those who don't. This doesn't mean sleep erases pain or solves external problems. It means sleep maintains your capacity to face problems, to make decisions, to stay connected to yourself and others. It's the difference between being resilient and being depleted, between responding thoughtfully and reacting desperately. Sleep is one of the most powerful tools you have for maintaining yourself through hard times. It's worth protecting fiercely. Think about forgiveness. How sometimes you can't forgive consciously, but you wake up one day and realize the anger has lifted. You didn't decide to forgive. It happened in you, through you. Sleep facilitates this kind of organic forgiveness. Not forced or premature, but natural. The gradual recognition that holding on to anger hurts you more than them. This realization doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from sleep's repeated processing, gradually showing you that you can let go and still be okay, still be safe, still be yourself. Your dreams, even the strange, nonsensical ones, are part of healing work. They might seem random, but they're your brain creating scenarios, testing responses, practicing emotions in safe environments. That dream where you finally stood up for yourself, your brain rehearsing assertiveness. That dream where you felt completely at peace, your brain showing you what internal calm feels like. building neural pathways to access it while awake. Even nightmares serve purposes, processing fears, working through threats. Trust that even confusing dreams are purposeful. Your sleeping mind is wiser than you know. There's something profound about morning light after a difficult night. The same room, the same life. Yet somehow you can breathe easier. Not because circumstances changed, but because you changed. Sleep did its quiet work, adjusted your perspective, calmed your nervous system, reminded you of resources you'd forgotten you had. This isn't false hope or denial. It's neurological reset. Each morning is genuinely a fresh start because your brain has literally reorganized how it's relating to your experiences. Morning light reveals this transformation completed while you slept. By now, you might be feeling very drowsy, eyes heavy, thoughts drifting. This is exactly right. Notice how your body knows how to do this, how to release into sleep. You don't have to try. Simply allow. Your breath is slowing naturally. Your muscles are softening. Your mind is letting go of today and preparing for tomorrow. All the healing we've discussed, it's beginning right now, in you. As you drift, nothing you need to do. Only surrender to what your body already knows how to do perfectly. So could emotional healing really happen faster when you sleep? Yes. Measurably, significantly faster. The brain you'll have tomorrow morning will be different from the brain you have now. Not metaphorically, but literally. Neural connections will have strengthened or weakened. Emotional memories will have been reconsolidated. Stress chemicals will have been cleared. Your capacity for patience, empathy, clarity, all will have been restored. Sleep doesn't just maintain you, it rebuilds you. Every single night, you're being emotionally reconstructed, prepared to face another day of being beautifully, complicatedly human. The person you'll be when you wake up will be slightly different from who you are now. A little more healed, a little more integrated, a little more prepared. You won't consciously notice all these shifts. They're subtle, but accumulated over weeks, months, years of good sleep. They add up to profound transformation. You become someone who can hold complexity, who can feel deeply without being destroyed, who can love despite knowing loss. Sleep is slowly, patiently building this resilient, open-hearted version of you, one night at a time. Some people resist sleep because they fear losing control, or wasting time, or missing something. But sleep isn't loss, it's gain. You're not losing hours. You're investing them in becoming someone capable of handling tomorrow. You're not missing life. You're maintaining the capacity to actually experience life fully, rather than moving through it depleted and defended. Sleep is one of the most important things you'll do today. Not because you have to, but because you deserve the healing, the restoration, the gentle rebuilding that sleep provides. Let yourself feel grateful for sleep, if you can. Grateful for a biological process that heals without asking anything of you. Grateful for a brain that knows how to process pain without your conscious direction. Grateful for morning clarity, for the softening of edges, for waking up changed in ways you needed to change. Grateful for this built-in therapy, this ancient system that has carried humanity through countless generations of loss and love and life. Sleep is a gift, your own brain's gift to your heart. Receive it. We're near the end now. These final moments, before sleep fully takes you. Remember, you're not just ending today. You're beginning the healing of today. Your brain is about to start its careful work, sorting, processing, integrating, preparing you for tomorrow. You're safe to let go now. Safe to stop holding everything together. Safe to drift into the darkness where healing happens. Whatever today held, joy, pain, confusion, hope, your sleeping brain will tend to it all with infinite patience and wisdom you don't have to provide. Some nights heal one thing, other nights heal something else. You don't control what gets processed. Your brain prioritizes based on what you need most. Sometimes you'll wake up with unexpected clarity about something you weren't even consciously working on. Sometimes you'll wake feeling lighter without knowing exactly why. Trust this process. Trust that your brain knows what you need, healed most urgently. Trust that even when you don't feel dramatic shifts, subtle, important work is happening. Every night, without fail, your brain is devoted to your emotional well-being. It never stops trying to help you. The ultimate truth is this: you are not alone in your healing. You have an ally working tirelessly within you, your own sleeping brain, devoted to making yesterday's pain more bearable and tomorrow's challenges more manageable. This ally never judges, never gives up, never stops trying to help you integrate, understand, release, and grow every night. Without fail, this ally goes to work. You don't have to earn this. You don't have to deserve it. You only have to sleep and let healing happen. Sleep doesn't promise that tomorrow will be easy. It doesn't guarantee problems will disappear or pain will vanish completely. What it promises is that tomorrow you'll be more capable of meeting whatever comes. More resilient, more resourced, more yourself. And that's enough. That's everything. Really. To wake up each morning just a little bit more able to handle life. Accumulated over time. That's how we survive hard things. That's how we grow. That's how we become who we're meant to become. Through sleep's patient, persistent healing work, in moments now, we'll let you go completely. Let you drift into deep sleep where the real work begins. But know this: the healing you need is already beginning. Right now. In this moment, your nervous system is starting to settle. Your brain is preparing to process. Your body is starting to repair. Everything you need for emotional healing is already inside you, already activating. You don't have to do anything else. Only sleep. Only rest. Only allow what wants to happen naturally. You're ready. You're safe. Let go now. Tomorrow morning, you'll wake up. Maybe not fully healed. Some things take time, but you'll wake up changed. The sharp edges of today will be softer. The overwhelming feelings will be more manageable. You'll have access to parts of yourself that felt unreachable today. This is sleep's promise, kept every night for everyone who rests. You'll wake up a little more whole than you were, a little more integrated, a little more capable of love, joy, presence. Sleep always keeps this promise. Always. Without exception. And so we arrive at the final truth. Healing isn't something you do. It's something that happens in you, through you, when you create the conditions for it. Sleep is the most essential condition. Not the only one, but the foundational one. Everything else you do to heal yourself, therapy, exercise, connection, creativity. All of it works better, goes deeper, lasts longer when built on a foundation of good sleep. Take care of your sleep, and your sleep will take care of you. This is the gentle contract you were born into. Honor it, trust it, rest. And so, our quiet journey through the science of emotional healing comes to a gentle close. We've traveled from morning clarity after nighttime tears to the patient overnight work that transforms unbearable pain into something you can carry. We've discovered that sleep isn't rest. It's active reconstruction of your emotional self. From the amygdala's quiet calming during REM sleep to the wisdom that arrives with morning light. We've glimpsed how healing is both biological process and profound mystery. Sleep is patient with your pain. It never rushes, never judges. It simply works, night after night, helping you become someone capable of loving and losing, and living without being destroyed by any of it. Emotional healing reminds us that much of life's most important work happens in darkness, in quiet, in surrender. Sleep reveals that strength isn't only about enduring. It's also about knowing when to rest, when to let your deeper systems take over, when to trust processes you can't control or even witness. Without sleep, we would remain fragmented, overwhelmed, unable to integrate experience into wisdom. By pausing to honor sleep, we acknowledge our beautiful human vulnerability, that we need darkness to create light, that we need release to find strength, that we need stillness to keep moving forward. In these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can, as deep as possible. Think about unity of every emotion, every experience, every moment in your life. You are not separate from your pain, nor from your joy. All of it is you, integrated, whole. Think about consciousness itself, yours, mine, everyone listening, all awareness everywhere, perhaps all connected in ways we don't yet understand. You are not alone in the universe of minds, not alone in your struggles, not alone in your healing. Let your entire being dissolve into the ocean of consciousness, into dreamless rest, into the space before thought. Prepare for deep sleep. No boundaries left between your waking self and sleeping self. Only peace, only wholeness, only rest. If this thoughtful exploration of the mind made you relax, fall asleep, or sparked curiosity tonight, a gentle like and subscribe helps other sleepless souls discover this peaceful space too. It only takes a moment, but it means the world to us. One quiet tap, one sleepy soul at a time. But there's no need to do anything now. Nothing at all. You've traveled far tonight, farther than most journeys take you. You can allow these thoughts of healing and sleep to fade now, like morning mist lifting from water, leaving only the deep calm behind. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if Earth itself is gently pulling you into its embrace. If sleep comes, let it carry you like a leaf on a slow river, smoothly, inevitably, into a realm where time and weight no longer matter. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm. Tomorrow, emotional healing will still be happening. Your brain will still be working its gentle magic. But tonight belongs to stillness. Tonight belongs to the quiet work of becoming whole again. Rest well, dear listener, and remember, you are always, in every moment, being healed by your own mind's devoted care. Dream deeper with bedtime science. Relax, listen, and drift into sleep. Good night.